Good afternoon, students. So in last class, just we discussed the menstrual cycle. So once again we recall, what is menstrual cycle? Here, the cycle of events which are occur from one menstruation to till the another one or till the next one is called as menstrual cycle. So otherwise, a cyclical changes which are occur in the ovaries and accessory ducts of a reproductive system of a female primates is also called as menstrual cycle. So these menstrual cycle which starts after puberty. So after puberty only there is starting of menstrual cycle. That is what we are called as menarche or menarche. Menarche is nothing but the menstrual cycle starts at puberty is called as menarche. So after puberty there is cycle of events which are occur from one menstruation to till the next one. That is one menstrual cycle to the next menstrual cycle starts. So what is those cyclical events like these events which occur in the entire menstrual cycle? So those are the events like that is the menstrual cycle which is divided into four phases. That is menstrual phase, follicular, or it is also called proliferative phase, ovulatory phase, luteal phase, and secretory phase. So during the menstrual cycle, so it starts and it ends 3 to 5 days of menstrual cycle, a third or fifth day. So in most of all, within 3 days, the menstrual cycle, that is the menstrual phase is complete, during which most of the days bleeding of blood as the inner wall of inner layer of uterus, that is what we are called as endometrium. So these endometrium which completely converted into a red colored fluid along with that is blood vessels. So the blood vessels present in those endometrium and the endometrium which completely converted as a fluid, that fluid is discharged to the vaginal portion, so up to 3 to 5 days. So those events which are occur at the phase of menstrual cycle. So after 5th day, there is starting of follicular phase. So these follicular phase which are occur in between 6th to 13th day of menstrual cycle. 6th to 13th day of menstrual cycle. What are the changes occur here? So already we discussed it. So follicular phase, it is nothing but the follicular phase, it is occurred in the ovary. It is occurred in the ovary. So as seen here in the diagram, it is the ovarian follicle. These ovarian follicle, it takes place development. The development of ovarian follicle is occurred. So at the time of within 28 days of menstrual cycle period, one of the ovary which release only one ovum. That one ovum is formed by those ovarian follicle. The ovarian follicle in the ovum release ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು. So these ovarian follicle which developed by the stimulation of the hormones called, that is, follicle stimulating hormones. You know that it is the gonadotropin releasing from the pituitary gland. From that pituitary gland secreting those gonadotropin follicular stimulating hormone, that is follicles are stimulates to develop as a primary follicle to secondary follicle. Primary follicle to secondary follicle. Secondary follicle to tertiary follicle. Tertiary follicle. Tertiary follicle to, that is a Graafian follicle. It is a mature Graafian follicle. Graafian follicle. So like during follicular phase, these ovarian follicles which developed primary follicle, secondary follicle, tertiary follicle and Graafian follicle. So hence the phase what they are called as follicular phase. In the same duration, that is 6th to 13th day of menstrual cycle, even there is presence of proliferative phase. Proliferative phase. So now ಇಲ್ಲಿ follicular phase ಅನ್ನು identify ಮಾಡಬಹುದು diagram ಅಲ್ಲಿ. The proliferative phase means that in the menstrual phase, what the endometrium, see here, it is the menstruation. It is occurred in at least within 3 to 5th day of menstrual cycle is completely shutting down, that is endometrium. What the endometrium is shutting down by formation of these red color fluid. So once again there is origination of reorganizing of endometrium. Reorigination of endometrium. That is, once again the endometrium is increase the thickness or once again form. So already you know that is there is three wall layers of the uterus: perimetrium, mesometrium and inner endometrium. So these endometrium layer is continuously shutting down at the first phase of menstrual cycle, and once again it is reoriginate or reorganize. That is, reorganizing of these endometrium is occurred. So that's why this phase what we are called as proliferative phase. It is occurred in 6th to 13th day of menstrual cycle. So the next phase is ovulatory phase. So just you identified here the day of 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15. So at the day of 14th, so it is the mid-cycle. Mid-cycle, during which there is secretion of, see just you observe here in the diagram, it is the FSH hormone, the red line is the LH hormone, a rapid secretion of LH hormone leads to more or high level or high concentration high concentration, that is increase the level of LH hormone. So that is what we are called as LH surge. During mid cycle. So during mid cycle, rapid secretion of these LH hormone, it leads to ovulation. So that phase what we are called as ovulatory phase. So how these LH hormone helps to ovulation? So previously we discussed the LH hormone break down the walls of Graafian follicle. So Graafian follicle walls na break down ಮಾಡಿ ovum release ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ help ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So that is the function of these LH hormone. At the time of mid cycle, there is increase the level of those LH hormone. So it is the increasing the level. So it shows which helps to releasing of ovum from the ovary. So after the last phase, that is luteal phase. Luteal phase is nothing but after releasing of ovum, it is the ovum, the remaining part of Graafian follicle present in the ovary, it is converted as corpus luteum. Remaining part of Graafian follicle, the remaining part of Graafian follicle convert into corpus luteum. So formation of corpus luteum by the remaining part of Graafian follicle after ovulation is called as, that is corpus luteum formed. So that phase what we are called as luteal phase. So it is also called as secretory phase. Secretory phase is nothing but what the corpus luteum secreted, corpus luteum formed by the Graafian follicle, it secretes more hormones called progesterone. So these progesterone hormones which are secreted by corpus luteum. So hence it is also called as secretory phase. When these corpus luteum secrete progesterone, the corpus luteum secrete progesterone if the released egg is fertilized. If the egg is fertilized, the corpus luteum remaining in the ovary up to till the end of pregnancy, those corpus luteum secrete the progesterone hormones. If this egg is not fertilized, this corpus luteum which is disintegrate or disappear. So in the form of first that is it is corpus albicans, and after it is slowly disappear from the ovary. So after disappear means here once again start the next menstrual cycle. The next menstrual cycle it is starts. That is up to the duration of these menstrual cycle, generally either 28 or 29 days. So the normal menstrual cycles which are repeated the interval of 28 to 29 days. So at the end of the 28 or 29, there is starting of once again there is starting of menstrual phase. When if the egg is not fertilized, if the egg is fertilized, these menstrual cycles are stopped. Menstrual cycles are stops if the egg is fertilized. So it leads to starting of pregnancy. So what the events of menstrual cycle totally stops. Totally stops if the egg is fertilized. So then what we are called as the pregnancy period is starts from there itself. So sometimes these menstrual cycles which are irregular, that is the duration is irregular. Sometimes the menstrual cycle starts 20 days or 25 days once. So due to these hormonal changes or otherwise due to development of body. So like the irregular or abnormal menstrual cycles occurred, the duration is changed. Got it? So as the next that is after fertilization. So this much already we know. Next, fertilization. And implantation. So first we discussed the fertilization. So what is fertilization? That is fusion of the process of fusion of sperm with an ovum is called fertilization. The process of fusion of sperm with an ovum is called as fertilization. So these fertilization which is also having certain events, that is events of fertilization. So those events are, that is release of egg. So what we are called as that is ovulation. So release of sperms. The phenomenon what we are called as spermiation. So after that, fusion of egg with sperm or sperm with egg. So these are the events which are occurred in the fertilization. So when the release of egg, already we know the ovulation occur at 14th day of menstrual cycle, during which the egg or the ovum released as secondary oocyte. During ovulation, the egg is in secondary oocyte stage. So just the secondary oocyte in which only the first meiotic cell division is completes. First meiotic cell division is only completes. So after start the second meiotic cell division, in that second meiotic cell division, it is arrest in the metaphase second stage. So metaphase second stage, in the secondary oocyte, it will be arrested. That is, cell division is arrested. Cell division is arrested. So during which the secondary oocyte is released. So release here, the released ovum, it is in the secondary oocyte stage. At the time of releasing of ovum from ovary, the oviduct in which the finger-like projections present in the tip of oviduct, what we are called as fimbriae. The fimbriae which helps to collect the secondary oocyte or the ovum and which meets into the infundibulum region. The infundibulum is a funnel-shaped structure at the tip of that is oviduct. So those secondary oocyte are ovum which travels into oviduct. And the meanwhile, the second event, that is releasing of sperm. Releasing of sperm. So that is spermiation in male body. So at the time of copulation, these releasing of sperms into the female genital tract or through the vaginal portion, what we are phenomenon called as insemination. So insemination is nothing but releasing of sperms into vagina. That is what we are called as insemination. So after insemination, a male release 3 to 4 ml of seminal fluid. 3 to 4 ml of seminal fluid. So these 3 to 4 ml of seminal fluid, which consists nearly 300 to 400 million sperms, 3 to 4 ml, which consists 300 to 400 ml of a million sperms, that is 1 ml of seminal fluid, which consists 100 million sperms. 100 million sperms. So which are released into the vagina, and those seminal fluid contain these sperms which is freely swim into the cervix, uterus, and which move towards which swim towards the oviduct. So as you know, that is oviduct. Here, at the time of insemination, the seminal fluid released into the vaginal portion, these sperms which swim towards the oviduct through the cervix and through the uterus. The sperms which move towards the oviduct through the cervix region, uterine cavity or uterus cavity or uterus, and which move towards the oviduct. In the meanwhile, the ovum or egg which is moved towards the uterus. Ovum traveled towards the uterus, the sperm traveled towards the egg or towards the oviduct. Oviductal move ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. At the same time, so as you know that the three parts of so it is isthmus, it is ampulla, it is infundiculum. Here the egg moves towards the uterus, the sperms move towards the oviductal loop tire. While the sperm travels, a sperm and egg which travels opposite direction in the oviduct. So it is totally what we are called as oviduct or fallopian tube. So at the time of the egg, it is the egg or ovum, it is the sperm which traveled in the oviduct, which are come to opposite in the junction of, it is the junction of isthmus and ampulla. That is ampullary isthmic junction kuda kariತೀವಿ. The both are same. So in the region of just in the junction of ampulla and isthmus, they come in contact with one another, there is fertilization is successful. So students, just you understand, a human being who copulate many times, the coitus occurring many times in between both partners, but all the copulations are not successful. All the copulations which are not fertilized. So why not all copulations leads to fertilization and pregnancy means? So this is the region, main region. The fertilization occur in the junction of isthmus and ampulla. Here the egg released 14th day. After it travels in the oviduct, during the same day, or that is 15th or 16th, or 14th, 15th, 16th, in which if the coitus occur, the sperms which move in the junction, at the same time the egg is travelled towards the uterus direction, both are come in contact, the junction of isthmus and ampulla, it leads to fertilization is successful. Fertilization is successful. Here, the sperm contact with the egg. A sperm contact with egg. See here, the diagram shows the fertilization. It is the plasma membrane of egg. So there is a pre-vitalized space. It is the air. It is the sperm. Around these, there is presence of a layer what we are called as zona pellucida layer. So here there is presence of a cellular layer, zona pellucida layer. Zona pellucida. So at the time of a sperm contact with ovum, as previously we discussed, the structure of human sperm, which consists in the front of what we are called as, that is acrosome. Acrosome. The acrosome, it is filled with a number of enzymes. These are the enzymes. So already we discussed the three types of enzymes which are filled with acrosome. So the acrosome part of human sperm will break down. So at the time of just it is touching, these enzymes which helps to break down of the layer of zona pellucida layer, means the enzyme which digest the zona pellucida layer, and these human sperm which entered into the egg through zona pellucida layer hole ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು just the sperm is entered into the egg. So while the sperm which connect the egg, during which complete the second meiotic cell division. So when sperm contact with the egg or ovum, it leads to stimulate the completion of second meiotic cell division. So because that secondary oocyte stage, metaphase second stage, it will be arrested. So yaವಾಗ just touch ಆಗುತ್ತೋ, the cell divisions will be stimulated and cell divisions will be started. When it is entered, the sperm is entered, as it completes the second meiotic cell division. At the time of second meiotic cell division, we know there is at the time of oogenesis, the first meiotic cell division and second meiotic cell division is unequal cell divisions. So due to unequal cell division, there is formation of polar bodies. The second polar body released in the egg is throwing out at the time of fertilization. So because it is second meiotic cell division is also unequal. So ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಬಹುದು ನೀವು, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಗಮನಿಸಬೇಕು. It is the ovum, it is small polar body. It is the secondary oocyte, it is small polar body. So during which second polar body is throwing out at the time of fertilization. So yaವಾಗ sperm ovum ಒಳಗಡೆ enter ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ, so it completes the second meiotic cell division, it throws the second polar body and it leads to formation of ovum. ಈಗ complete the meiotic cell division, it leads to formation of, that is the virginal female gamete, that is egg or ovum. So when the sperm entered here inside the egg or ovum, you know that the head pod, which consists a large haploid nucleus which consists of 23 chromosomal material. So the nucleus of human sperm, that is what we are called as in the state of pronuclei or pronucleus. These nucleus which absorb the water content present in the fluid content present in the ovum, it little bit swollen. The nucleus of absorb the water content present in the ovum, and those nucleus it is swells up or it is swollen. At the time of swollen, it rotate 180-degree angle. So yavagi nucleus of sperm which rotate 180-degree angle to fertilize with the nucleus of pronucleus of these ovum. That is fusion of pronuclei of sperm and ovum is called amphimixis. So amphimixis, it is nothing but fusion of pronuclei of sperm and pronuclei of egg or ovum. The phenomenon what we are called as amphimixis. So it leads to formation of zygote. So this zygote, which consists diploid set of chromosomes, the diploid number of chromosomes means which consists 46 chromosomes. As in this stage, so at the time of fusion of male and female gamete, that is sperm with egg or ovum, in this stage there is determination of sex of baby. The sex of the baby is determined, that is decided of sex of the baby. So how means, for example, sperm, the egg, both are haploid conditions, that is 23 chromosomes in sperm, 23 chromosomes in egg. Out of 23, 22 chromosomes are autosomes. 22 are autosomes or body chromosomes, plus 1, that is either X or either Y, that is sex chromosomes. So only any one of the either X or Y. In out of 23 in the year, say 22 AA, that is autosomes or body chromosomes. Autosomes or body chromosomes, and only X is the sex chromosome. So because XX in sex chromosomes of female, X, Y are sex chromosomes of male. So just see here, 22 are autosomes with X chromosome, 22 autosomes with Y chromosome. Here, 50% of sperms carry X sex chromosome. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಮೊದಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದೆ, at the time of 2 to 3 ml or 3 to 4 ml of seminal fluid released into the female body, which consists of 300 or 400 million sperms, out of which 60% only able to that is fertilization capability, in which 50% of sperms carry X sex chromosome, 50% of sperms carry Y sex chromosome. Y sex chromosomes. So, but in the egg, all the eggs which carry only X is the sex chromosome. So, at the time of fertilization, fusion of sperm with Y chromosome fused with the egg, what the zygote formed. So it is the zygote. So these zygote which developed as a male body or a male baby, as the sperm carried X sex chromosome fused with egg carried X chromosome, X sex chromosome only. It leads to formation of the zygote. These zygote which developed as female baby. Got it? So as the sex is decided at the time of fertilization occur in the oviduct. Oviduct alli fertilization of takshana that fertilization decided the sex of that baby. Like this way, that is 50% of sperms carry X sex chromosome, 50% of sperms carry Y sex chromosome. Depend upon the sperm carry the sex chromosome, the sex of the baby is identified. So that's why the sex of the baby is decided from father side, not a mother side. But this is not known most of the females who are in society. So that's why every mother-in-laws who blamed those daughter-in-laws why not they are not given a male baby. So that as such a who is blaming such persons who are not known the sex of the baby is decided by only males. So that is the sex of the baby is decided by only father but not mother. Got it? So the fertilization, after fertilization, After fertilization, implantation. What is implantation? Attachment of blastocyst on endometrium of uterus is called implantation. Is called implantation. So after fertilization, as we know now, that is fertilization takes place in the region of ischemic ampullary junction. Ischemic ampullary junction. After fertilization, the zygote formed in the oviduct. So within 30 hours of fertilization, 30 hours of fertilization, mitotic division starts in zygote in oviduct. It is what we are called as cleavage. For example, it is a zygote, a small cleavage formed in that zygote. It leads to divided first. First it is divided to form two cells. It is the equal cell division. Equal cell division. So here the first division is horizontal. Sorry. So it is vertical. First division is vertical. After the next 20 hours, within the next 20 hours, these so another one cell present in the back. Four cells. Here, two cells. Second division is also equal cell division. The third division, it is occurred slightly above. It is unequal cell division. Unequal cell division, it leads to formation of 8 cells. 8 cells. Now we comes both. It is the 8-celled stage. It is the 8-celled stage of embryo or 8-celled stage, that is fertilized zygote, a fertilized ovum, which consists 8 cells means the 8-celled stage, which is called as morula. That is, the morula stage means 8 to 16 celled stage of embryo, which is called as morula stage. There are three embryonic stages are there. That is morula stage. It is first embryonic stage. The second embryonic stage is blastula. The third embryonic stage is gastrula. The morula stage is 8 to 16 celled stage, 16 to 32 celled stage in blastula, more than 32 celled stage, which is called as gastrula. So the morula stage starts here. After the next cell division, which is also, so here in this embryo with 16 cells, this embryo with 16 cells, 8 to 16 cell stage, which is called as morula stage. After the next cell division, it leads to formation of 32 cells. So means the next cell division, once again that is vertical. Third one horizontal ಆಗಿತ್ತು. So next once again vertical division, it leads to formation of 32 cells. So these, the embryo with 16 to 32 cell stage called blastocyst. The blastula of human, which is called as blastocyst. The attachment of blastocyst on uterus. The attachment of, see here, the blastocyst is slightly attached to the endometrium layer. Attachment of blastocyst on uterine wall layer, that is endometrium, the phenomenon what we are called as implantation. At the stage of blastocyst only, it is implant. The cleavages, which is starts, the cleavage state start in the embryo is in the oviduct. At the completion of morula stage, the embryo which entered into the uterus, within that uterus, nearly 2 to 3 days freely present in the uterine region. Uterus alle free ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, free swimming nature ಇರುತ್ತೆ. At the day of 7th day of fertilization, attachment of blastocyst on endometrium of uterus. The phenomenon what it is carried, the implantation process which is starts at the 7th day of fertilization. Fertilization ಆದ 7 ದಿನಗಳಿಗೆ blastocyst attached on endometrium. After attachment of these blastocysts, so just it is the blastocyst which get attached to here, the cells of these endometrium which divide rapidly, there is growth of endometrium is occurred. That endometrium cells are completely cover these blastocysts. At the meanwhile, ಯಾವಾಗ attachment ಆಗುತ್ತೋ, during which the outer layer of the blastocyst, which is called as trophoblast, these trophoblast cells release certain proteolytic enzymes. Why they release proteolytic enzymes? So, what they release the proteolytic enzymes? The enzymes which digest the certain layer or certain portion of these endometrium, it leads to make it depression. ಇಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಗುಡಿ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. So, ಯಾವಾಗ ಗುಡಿ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೋ, a deep portion is created by those enzymes. These blastocysts which get immersed, ಅದರ ಒಳಗಡೆ ತೋರ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವಾಗ blastocyst ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೋ, rapidly cell division occurred in the endometrium. It covers that blastocyst completely immersed, it entered into the endometrium layer. So these process which completes within 5 days. 7th day of fertilization it will be started. That is 12th day of fertilization, it is complete the implantation process. Implantation complete agad. Okay. So after implantation, it starts the pregnancy period. So just you know the structure of blastocyst. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. So it is the outer covering layer. Outer covering layer, which is called as trophoblast. Structure of blastocyst. The blastocyst which consists how many cells? Maximum 32 cells. So in which certain cells are a mass of cells which are present in any one of the pole of either north or south or east or west, any one of the pole. Certain mass of cells are present inside the trophoblast or inside the blastocyst. A mass of cells which get attached to the trophoblast layer. ಯಾವ ಪೋಲಲ್ಲಿ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೋ ಈ ಪೋಲನ್ನು ನಾವು ಎಂಬ್ರಿಯಾನಿಕ್ ಪೋಲ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕರೀತೀವಿ. Embryonic pole, or which is also called as animal pole. Animal pole or embryonic pole. So these, a mass of cells get attached to trophoblast are called as inner mass of cells. Inner mass of cells. Inside the blastocyst, there is presence of a cavity, the cavity called blastocele. These blastocele, which is filled with fluid. The fluid is filled inside the blastocyst. After implantation, these trophoblast layer cells which produce a number of finger-like projections, those projections which get introduced into the endometrium layer, which helps to firmly attachment of these blastocyst into endometrium layer. So what those phenomena what were called as that is implantation process. That implantation process which completes in the day of 12th day of fertilization. After these, in the next class, we discussed pregnancy and embryonic development. Thank you.